people, and welcome to the show. Today's show is going to be a little bit shorter than normal because we've had such a long week and it's not even over. But there's some good stuff to cover. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the filibuster today because it's in the news. I want to sort of explain kind of what the situation is behind that and why there's such a kerfuffle about it. The second thing I want to talk about is the Calvary is on the way, what the Biden administration is already deciding to take up and do with respect to our COVID response, and how exciting that is. And then lastly, I have a couple questions that I can take up, but I don't want to take up too much time because honestly, I'm kind of tired. I'm still like finally emotionally coming down from the reality. Like I woke up this morning and it was not real yet. Like my cat woke me up this morning. My cat Ziggy, he likes to kind of play with me in the morning to wake me up. And so he kind of paws at me and he nuzzles and he nudges me. And so when I was waking up this morning, I was like, and it just hit me like, oh my God, that really happened yesterday. Like Biden is president. Trump is not. It's real. It's unbelievable. It's going to take a while before we all get used to that. It's going to take a while before we get used to not 24/7, 365 news cycle about what he is doing. And that's exciting. But the big kerfuffle today was about the Senate filibuster. Now, I want you to understand that the Republicans, when they were in control of the Senate just this last Congress, they strongly basically eliminated the filibuster with respect to what they care about the most, which is judges. They removed the ability of Democrats to slow down or obstruct the appointment of conservative judges because that's what they wanted. So they went full gangsta and said, no, you can't stop us. And so now they're in the midst of negotiating new rules under a new Senate majority Democrat. And of course, Mitch McConnell is trying to play like the mobster that he is and say, oh, no, you can't weaken the filibuster because we should have the right to stop your legislative initiatives and the things you care about. Because it's, 50-50. It's not 50-50. We won the White House. It's 51-50. We're the majority. Now, some people are like the filibuster is an important part of balancing of power. No, it's not. It's a relic of slavery, just like everything else these days. It's a relic of slavery, right? It was something that was introduced into the Senate to keep northern states from being able to stop southern states from railroading their legislative agenda when they were in power. So, it's like the Electoral College. All of these things that we look at in our governance that don't make any damn sense. If it doesn't make any damn sense, then I assure you it's tied to slavery in some way. So the question is, what should the Democrats do here? Now, there's some people like Joe Manchin, who is from West Virginia, and he's not up for re-election next cycle, or even I think he's not up for election for another 4 years. So it's not like he's on the cusp of losing his gig. But he does like to appeal to the center, the moderate. And he thinks there's power to be the man in the middle who can make it happen for either side. So he has made noises in the past about not supporting a change to the filibuster because, he wants balance of power or something. I don't know where he stands at the moment, but I know that the fight in the Senate is getting extremely heated. And my suspicion is that if we pressure Manchin, especially if Joe Biden pressures Manchin to support the Democrats in altering and, removing the filibuster, he will. That's my suspicion. I could be totally wrong, but I think that if Biden makes it a direct personal ask that Joe stand with Democrats to help his agenda get through, I think I'm hoping that Joe will support Joe Biden in that. Because if he doesn't, then, what the hell? I mean, like, why even pretend to caucus with the Democrats, right? There have been areas in which Joe Manchin has actually done well for Democrats, with Democrats, healthcare being one of them, wages being another. He's awful on social issues. He's awful on race issues, but there are some things that he's a good Democrat on. Would I want my future in his hands? I don't know. But I'm hoping and praying that Joe Biden can put his personal imprimatur and pressure on Manchin to agree. Because if we allow McConnell to stop us, there was nothing we could do to stop him when he was in power. If we voluntarily give him the power to stop us, then why the hell did we go through all of that stuff in Georgia at all? That's what I want to know. I want to know why we fought so hard to win those Georgia seats if we were just going to hand the power over to McConnell to obstruct us anytime he wanted to. What's the point? It's a simple question. So I feel like we fought tooth and nail for Georgia to have the control to push Joe Biden's agenda, the people's agenda, the agenda that more than 81 million people voted for. And the idea of handing over to the Republicans the ability to obstruct that is insane, because they've never acted with goodwill towards us. They didn't do it when they were in the majority. They've not done it in the minority. They have never done it. Don't forget that it was but 2 weeks ago that they were selling the notion that Congress could just throw out the election results and install Donald Trump. There's not a micron of genuine remorse or contrition for what they did 2 weeks ago, and they're still swashbuckling their way through this as if they won. They lost. They lost. And it's not like they didn't do everything under the sun to cheat and change that election result. They did. They called secretaries of state. They tried to get legislators to overturn it. They tried to get faithless electors. They did everything they could, and they still lost. So why are we still indulging their shit? That's what I don't understand. Why are we indulging their shit? It's not like they ever indulged ours. They only care about unity when they're in the minority. When they're in the majority, it's absolute ruthless. It's absolute ruthlessness. They shoved Amy Coney Barrett down our throat with 13 days left to go to the election. And they want to talk about power sharing now? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you hard. I don't want to talk about power sharing. I want us to take that advantage that we fought so hard to get and ram it down their throat. Now, I'm hoping they don't view it as ramming down their throat. I'm hoping what they see is that Joe Biden is actually trying to fix the mess that Donald Trump created over these last 4 hellish years. Hopefully, there's some people who say, you know what, Trump is done. I don't want to stay on that train. Let's go do stuff for the American people. But if they're not on that train, I don't give a damn. Roll their ass. Roll them. Why should we continue to sacrifice our power in the name of unity or collaboration when they absolutely never do that for us? Their rhetoric is completely hollow. Quite frankly, I think at least 7 of them don't belong in the Senate at all, given their participation in treason and sedition. We're being, honestly, I mean, if I were gangster, because I kind of am, I would be like, Merrick Garland, arrest all of these dudes. Arrest them all. It's hard to vote on legislation when you're in, pretrial detention. That's what I think should happen. We're already being nice. We're being nice by treating you like you're still senators. We're being nice by not just shunning you as the seditionist traitors that you are. But then to insist that we hand the power that we fought tooth and nail to obtain back to you, and that's the only way you're going to be cooperative? Oh, dude, we don't need your cooperation. Roll them. Joe talked about unity, but that's because Joe's a good man. He wants your cooperation. But you know who the burden of unity really rests on this time? It rests on them. Why is it in our politics that we're always talking about Democrats reaching across the aisle and never, ever even express the thought of Republicans reaching across the aisle to Democrats? It's as if our politics is baked in that we're good people and they're not. And so that we shouldn't even expect them to try to behave in a decent way. It's only the Democrats that have to, be the bigger people. Why do we always have to be the bigger people? They're the ones who fucked over the country. Make them be the bigger people. I want to hear Republicans. Now, the good news is that there was a letter that was sent yesterday from 17 members of the House, and these are freshman House members who wrote a letter to Joe Biden and said, we want to work with you. We're gonna not be obstructive. We're gonna want to help you with your agenda. 17 of the House. I think that's great, and I hope they're serious about it. But Mitch McConnell ain't in that group. So what the hell? I don't understand why we would tolerate anything from Mitch McConnell. Anything, because I think the thing he wants to stop is the Voting Rights Act and the voter protection. I think that's the thing that's really on his in his universe, and that's the one thing I will not bend on. You will do that for Black people, because Black people put Joe Biden in the White House. So you will put those protections for our vote in the future. Maybe that's the big showdown that's coming. But if that's a showdown that's coming, girlfriend is strapping up right now. I'm putting on the gear. I'm getting the bulletproof vest. I'm getting all the strapping in. I've got all of my extra gear ready for this fight. Because I'll be good and goddamned if we're going to leave this Congress without voter protection for Black people. And that's all I got to say about that. If you like what you just heard, you can find out so much more and hear so much more on my Patreon channel, patreon.com/Pam Keith FL. That's where you hear the rest of this discussion, and there's lots more to share.